So this is the second time this month we've been able to watch Gary Gensler get completely exposed in Congress. Plenty of softball questions towards him as well. But we did get to see Patrick McHenry open it up, exposing him for his FTX and the lack of accountability coming from the SEC, not even responding to the questions that the Congress has been giving him. Once again, another DC dance episode today for us. Let's break it down. And funny enough, we actually did see the crypto markets massive manipulation move to start out this morning. And so right now, the crypto markets, Bitcoin's back down to 26,285. Ethereum's right at 1,600 and XRP's at 50 cents. But if you take a look here this morning, right, we've come back down since last week's Fed decision as predicted. And then this morning, we actually got a massive, on the 4-hour chart here, massive green candle to start out the day. And that was basically in the middle of the night. And then markets quickly recover back down. So a quick little manipulation pump and dump to start out the day before Gary Gensler comes to testify. And we have Patrick McHenry tearing into Gary Gensler on crypto, taunts him on his losing streak in court, and issues the threat of subpoena on documents. Let's take a listen in on this one, folks.
Third, your efforts to choke off the digital asset ecosystem, which has created real harm for consumers in our market.
I apologize. I had the volume down. Let's run this back. Starting off on crypto here.
Third, your efforts to choke off the digital asset ecosystem, which has created real harm for consumers in our markets, is clear to all. You said the law is clear, but your actions have created more confusion and lasting damage. Chair Gensler, you've also said your goal is consumer protection. Yet your actions have pushed legitimate digital asset activities outside of regulated financial institutions where consumers are best protected. On one hand, we've seen bipartisan votes in Congress, in this committee, to provide clear rules of the road and real consumer protection. And on the other, we've seen your ad hoc regulation by enforcement approach to digital assets on a losing streak in the courts. You refuse to be transparent with Congress regarding your interactions with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. That's the investigation we started last Congress. Finally, your lack of responsiveness to this committee's legitimate oversight continues to be unacceptable. And I want to finish here. In February, the committee made multiple requests for documents to the Securities Exchange Commission. This is normal congressional oversight. Yet 7 months later, the committee has not received a single non-public document that was not part of a FOIA production. As I said, our patience is wearing thin. The SEC is not above the law, nor is it unique. Other financial regulators have routinely complied with congressional oversight. So let me be clear. I do not want to be the first chairman of this committee to issue a subpoena to the Securities Exchange Commission. And you should not want to be the first SEC chair to receive a congressional subpoena. Either we find a path forward where the SEC recognizes Congress as a co-equal branch of government and is responsive to our oversight duties, or my option is to issue a subpoena. It's time for you to consider the lasting consequences of your actions, and what that means to the Securities Exchange Commission's reputation long term. While your time in this role may be temporary, the repercussions for your actions may be permanent for the agency. I yield back.
Yeah, and I would argue back at Patrick McHenry, no, you should be excited about being the first one to subpoena the SEC Chair Gensler. We should be excited about this opportunity to bring accountability back to DC. What a novel idea. And John Deaton chimes in. He says, I think Patrick McHenry is great. I really do. And I accept the fact that I'm naive or even ignorant to the long-standing customs and practices of the Financial Services Committee and other congressional committees. Exactly. Long-standing customs and practices. Let's throw that out and let's get something done. How about that, right? I've always suspected that issuing a subpoena was seen as a line in the sand being crossed that each side tries to avoid, which we're way past that, right? Almost as if there's an unwritten agreement between the two parties. It's why I hate politics so much. I agree, John, 100%. Gary Gensler is a bad faith bureaucrat. He has hurt investors, not protected them. The fact that the FSC hasn't seen anything the rest of us isn't, they haven't seen anything that the rest of us haven't is disturbing and unacceptable. Issue the damn subpoena, please. Pretty please with sugar on top. And the American people should be demanding that we get this done, that we bring back this accountability. And the fact that they're not even responding to congressmen and women with the questions that they've asked with anything other than public documents that they've already put out, right? There's no response from the SEC, which how is the Congress supposed to get anything done when they bring them in? And each congressman or woman is only given 5 minutes to ask him questions before they have to pass the mic. And he only shows up in DC a few times a year to actually get questioned, right? They get to submit questions for the record, but then Gary's not responding with anything that's not already public, as if basically he's above the response to all these folks. You need to just follow along, maybe watch some of his little cute videos on Twitter, right? You can get a response from his cute little Twitter feed. It's a joke. Now, Eleanor Terrett, keeping us up to date here, Congressman Tom Emmer asked good guy Gary Gensler if it's true that he has made most of his wealth during his time at Goldman Sachs. With a smile on his face, Gensler answered, "I've done well since then too, sir." There was a collective chuckle from the hearing room. And as we covered last week, right, Goldman Sachs actually served up and it did a massive settlement. And so he's been taking care of his buddies. His buddies are still going down. They're getting a little slap on the wrist fine. It's not going to stop. And this is only going to continue unless we start to get some accountability. And we had a good one right here, folks. Ann Kelly shares, in my over 20 years working with Congress, I have not laughed as hard as I did with this analogy. Well done, Representative Andy Barr. Now, he gets slammed because Representative Andy Barr calls him the Tanya Harding of regulation. Now, I had to admit, folks, I didn't laugh because this predates me. This analogy predates me. It's actually from 1994, the year I was born. And so I had to go look up on Wikipedia, I had to go look up Tanya Harding, which apparently in 1994, Harding became embroiled in controversy when her ex-husband, Jeff Gillooly, orchestrated an attack on her fellow U.S. skating rival Nancy Kerrigan on March 16, 1994. Harding accepted a plea bargain in which she pleaded guilty to conspiracy to hinder prosecution as a result of her involvement in the aftermath of the assault on Kerrigan. The United States Figure Skating Association banned her for life on June 30th, 1994. So that was actually before my time, before I was born. So I didn't understand what this was, but now I get it. And now it is hilarious. And when I Googled Tanya Harding to look up the story, the memes are hilarious. And Gary Gensler is a walking meme. But listen in on this one from Representative Andy Barr, absolutely laying it down.
And you're right, we are blessed with the largest, most sophisticated, most innovative capital markets in the world. But we cannot take this for granted. Even a gold medalist must keep training. With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, if the U.S. capital markets are a gold medalist, you are the Tanya Harding of securities regulation because you are kneecapping the U.S. capital markets with the avalanche of red tape coming out of your commission. And you're right, we are blessed with the largest...
I love that, the avalanche of red tape coming from your commission. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, final one right here from Eleanor Terrett. Gensler responds to Representative Josh Gottheimer's question as to why the SEC hasn't done any rulemaking for cryptocurrency. Quote, because there's rules and laws in the books that apply to crypto security tokens like they apply to others. There's nothing incompatible just because you're storing something of value on a blockchain. And this is where Gary Gensler is wrong. Well, he's wrong on many points, but this one in particular, right? Because just because something can be wrapped in a security or an investment contract does not mean that the underlying asset itself is a security or investment contract. Right? And so, as predicted by Stuart Alderati, the SEC chair will go to Congress tomorrow and lie by stating that there is such thing as a crypto asset securities market and tokens themselves are investment contracts. But did any of these congressmen, we did have Patrick McHenry note that they've had some recent losses in the courts, right? And McHenry should have quoted, just like Stuart Alderati suggested here, perhaps just one representative will read this line from the court's July 13th decision in the Ripple case. Quote, XRP as a digital token is not in and of itself a contract, transaction, or scheme that embodies the Howey requirements of an investment contract. So as a matter of fact, what Gary Gensler said here is wrong, right? Yes, there are laws on the books for securities and investment contracts and schemes that do apply to the Howey test, right? But these are not crypto security tokens. These are crypto tokens, which in and of themselves are not securities contracts, investment contracts, right? This is proven in a court of law now. This is the law of the land. And it's one of many losses that Gary Gensler has just received. And he's going to continue to receiving big fat L's. He's going to hopefully continue to get exposed. And we need to even dig deeper. And there was a couple politicians I was listening to the hearing, and they asked him about a conversation that he had. I think it was earlier this year, maybe it was last year, but regardless, it was a conversation that he had with Senator Menendez, who now you guys know Senator Menendez is the corrupt politician, Senator Democrat, who was receiving big fat gold bars for his corruption. And he received over $400,000 worth of gold bars and cash and other things as compensation. And the conversation was about regulations, rulemaking, and Senator Menendez was just thrilled with the SEC chair putting Paul Grewal in the SEC Director of Enforcement position. And so we got one big club. We ain't in it. They are getting called out by some of these folks on Congressional Hill. But we have to take this further than just sound bites, right? And so it's up to us to continue applying pressure, continue writing into our representatives and demanding that, no, McHenry, it is time to do the subpoena. You should be thrilled and excited. What a blessed opportunity to bring accountability back to DC. Issue the subpoena right away, and let's get something done. And that's my hope. That's my prayer. We're here in the United States where there's a lot of incumbents who are trying to hold us back, who are trying to stall out cryptocurrency. And then we got doofus moron, good guy Gary Gensler here acting as if everything's fine. We already have rules on the books for your crypto security tokens after he received a historical loss ruling from Judge Torres that XRP in and of itself is not a security. The digital token does not embody an investment contract that meets the Howey prongs. So you can take that one, Gary, and go back and figure that one out for yourself. But once again, I remain hopeful that we're about to open up the most healthiest, robust capital markets like Gary talks about. We did have the most robust, innovative, deep capital markets in the world. It was fantastic. But it seems with cryptocurrency, we're trying to stifle this thing, hold it up. And I believe it's because the incumbents needed time to understand blockchain. They needed time to run their tests, run their pilots, and figure out what the heck it was. And many of the incumbents at Wall Street are just saying, well, I'm about to hang it up this year. All I care about is getting a big fat bonus and being able to buy my next yacht. And I'm about to set sail. And I'll let the new kids on the block figure out this blockchain stuff, i.e., why we're here where we're at in September of 2023, still waiting on crypto regulations to get passed and still watching many institutions as the news came out this week, Chase in UK, Chase UK banning folks from crypto. Jamie Dimon's JP Morgan now going to ban folks from being able to buy crypto, while on the back end, they're trying to figure out their own deposit tokens. They're moving to Fed now, which is running on distributed ledger technology. So it's hilarious to watch them want to stop us from investing in crypto, buying the digital assets that are the underpinning of the financial system. But then on the back end, they're trying to figure out deposit tokens, try to figure out JPM coin. It's a complete flop. It's a complete embarrassment. But they got good guy Gary Gensler protecting them as they figure things out. So with that being said, hopefully a new day is coming. I love to see good guy Gary Gensler getting exposed, but that's not enough. Let's issue the subpoena. Let's get accountability and justice back to DC. That is my hope. That is my prayer. If you appreciate this update, let's smash it on the way out. Everything else can be found at my website, zachrector.com, and I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all.